Hello and welcome to NEWSFLASH here on Metro TV. I am Bright Nana. See coming up in the next 30 minutes. Experts urge Ghanaians to stop patronizing eggs and poultry products in the wake of a rapid spread of the bird flu disease, which has affected 7 farms already. Office of the Attorney General begins stakeholder engagement on the Public Officers Bill, which aims at complementing government's role in fighting corruption. In news from elsewhere, Amnesty International has revealed that migrants held in Libyan detention camps are subject to horrific sexual violence at the hands of guards. Thanks for joining us. First in the news now, the outbreak of bird flu in Ghana poses a serious threat to the health of both animals and humans. It also has significant negative impact on the economy of poultry industry and subsistence farming. Now, the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Poultry Farmers, Lawrence Amatete, however, says the outbreak is under control due to the proactiveness of the ministry. He said that their biggest challenge currently is the cost and availability of maize to feed their stock. He made this known in an interview with Kenneth Jesse on his night.
The Animal Production Directorate, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and also the Veterinary Service have been proactive and ensuring that those birds that were victimized are destroyed, and also the needed measures are employed at the farm. Most often when it happens like that, the farmer is prevented from operating for like a period of 6 months, and with strict measures being adhered to. So we've also had several training for the poultry farmers in anticipation through collaboration with Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Animal Production Department, and also the Veterinary Services. So this is something that has been contained over the years. So as I speak with you, we have really spoken to the poultry farmers across the country to step up their managerial functions with regards to biosecurity. If we talk about biosecurity, it has to do with farm management. So the situation is being under control. The poultry industry in the country is at a critical stage, because way back we used to buy 50 kg of maize at a cost of 65 Ghana cedis, but as I speak with you, we are buying such kilos at between 130, 135 and 140. Availability and accessibility itself is a challenge. We have had the necessary meetings for stakeholders to employ best alternatives to improve upon the situation. As I speak with you, farmers are disposing their birds prematurely as a result of high cost of production. Even what even compound the challenge has to do with you assessing feed irrespective of the cost of it. Those who are even ready to pay premium for price cannot.
Let's just stay with bird flu and poultry. As Director of the Veterinary Service Directorate, Dr. Patrick Abake has revealed that 7 farms in Greater Accra, Central and Volta regions have so far recorded cases of bird flu outbreak. He said the veterinary services have, however, put in place all necessary measures to curb the further spread of the disease. He further cautioned the general public against handling dead birds with their hands, and also he made this known on an interview with Kenneth on his night.
Thank you. So far we have Greater Accra, Central and Volta region, and Greater Accra we have 5 farms, and Central 1 farm, and Volta 1 farm. In the Greater Accra, about 3,167 birds died naturally, and the Veterinary Service Department destroyed 300. Central region, we had 1 farm, and then 2,400 birds died naturally, and the Veterinary Service Department destroyed 4,200. Volta region, 1 farm so far, and 224 died naturally, and we are yet to destroy the rest. After that particular farm, we had only 500 birds. So these are the figures so far. So in general, 7 farms have been affected in the 2 regions, and 5,811 birds have died naturally, and 4,500 birds have been destroyed. Yes, we did all our best to keep the disease, because the disease is found naturally in wild birds, but they don't come down. So for the wild birds, you cannot prevent them from coming to your country. Migratory birds, we call them, yes. So with all our vigilance and everything, I mean, it can still come in. The only help is that we are going to do our best to make sure the disease doesn't go beyond where it is now. Through our surveillance, our vigilance, and the public, we have appealed to the public to help us, and other authorities to help us to stop this disease where it is. So if it goes beyond this, then that's where we have the dangers, and we are also in consultation with the Poultry Farmers Association, the executives, and we are organizing. We are trying to organize some awareness creation workshops and sensitizations for all of them throughout the country, so that they will know how to keep the disease out of their farms. And we've also asked them to raise their biosecurity measures, to intensify them, so that they will have the disease, they will not get the disease. So these are some of the issues, and we also educated the general public to report unusual deaths of birds to the veterinary services and other authorities, so that we can get it and deal with it immediately. And also, we are asking the public to handle dead birds. They should not handle dead birds with their hands, and also, as we said, poultry meat and products, they should make sure that they cook them well before they consume them. Yes.
And so we are all entreated to be careful with the handling of dead birds, as bird flu is out there. Away from that, following the enactment process and sensitization of stakeholders on the conduct of the Public Officers Bill 2021, the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice is holding a stakeholders meeting geared towards the purpose. Now, the conduct of the Public Officers Bill 2018 seeks to add to the justiciable provisions already in the statute book to combat corruption, plug the loopholes as far as the legal framework on anti-corruption is concerned, and provide clarity on matters of conflict of interest and the code of conduct of public officers.
Since independence in 1957, concern about official wrongdoing was the rationale for the enshrinement into the Constitution 1992 of a Code of Conduct for Public Officers. The Code of Conduct for Public Officers in Chapter 24 of the Constitution clearly was intended to lay down only the basic rules governing the conduct of public officers, and was by no means intended to be exhaustive in terms of the prescription of professionally and ethically acceptable conduct of public officers. A careful examination of Chapter 24 will disclose that the Constitution emphasizes on conflict of interest as opposed to subtle, complex, and perhaps more inimical forms of unethical behavior. The need to lay down a set of far-reaching and perhaps a more fit-for-purpose set of regulations for the conduct of public officers cannot be gainsaid. It is to this urgent need that the Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2021 seeks to respond. The Conduct of Public Officers Bill is to give a more consequential effect to Chapter 24 of the 1992 Constitution. It also serves to domesticate 2 anti-corruption conventions ratified by Parliament on 14 December 2005, namely the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, and to provide for other purposes. The provisions of these 2 conventions provide the international template for anti-corruption in the legislation of member states. The bill will serve the purpose of legislations in other jurisdictions, like the United States, where we have the Ethics in Government Act of 1978, as well as Kenya, where we have the Public Officers Ethics Act. Ladies and gentlemen, you would observe that public office is defined in Article 295 of the Constitution to include an office, the emoluments of which are paid directly from the Constituted Fund or directly out of monies provided by Parliament. It also includes an office in a public corporation established entirely out of public funds or monies provided by Parliament. Thus, by the very nature of their office, public officials are accountable to the general public and expected not to allow their private interests and affiliations to compromise official decision-making and public management. This bill underscores the fundamental point that the principal test of ethics is the public interest. When public officials act in breach of the public interest, they have acted unethically. The bill seeks to strengthen the role of Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice in the investigation of allegations of contravention of or non-compliance with the Code of Conduct of Public Officers, including conflict of interest, non-declaration of enrichment. It's my respectful view that the bill will be a shot in the arm of the fight against corruption for our dear country. Currently, legislation on corruption in Ghana is inadequate to deal extensively with public office accountability. Hence, the need for legislation which meets the minimum standards contained in the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption regarding public office accountability and corruption. I am of the fervent hope that the process of enacting the bill into law, commencing with the stakeholder engagement, will be rapid and culminate in the enactment of a law to address issues regarding financial portfolios held by public officers before assuming public office, and also other matters like links to family business, professional practices, property, investment, shareholdings, and other assets, self-dealing, partiality in the performance of duties, use of public or confidential information to further private interests, improper enrichment, care of public property, and what have you. The bill also seeks to address relating to sexual harassment and provides a gamut of stringent administrative measures and sanctions to deal with violations of the law, ranging from a bar against holding public office to. Further, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill addresses the following. A, the conditions under which a person is disqualified from holding public office. B, declaration of assets and liabilities in accordance with Article 286 of the Constitution. C, the Code of Conduct for adherence to guiding principles by public officers. D, prohibition from acting in a manner in which the personal interest of a public officer conflicts or is likely to conflict with the official performance of the public officer. E, legal proceedings against public officers. And J, administrative procedures, the oath of office, sanctions, and regulatory matters. It ought to be stated that the passage of the bill into law should not prevent other public institutions from improving accountability and ethical conduct at the workplace by enacting specific codes of discipline to meet the peculiar demands of their establishment. It is noted that, for instance, the United Kingdom Civil Service has, pursuant to provisions of the UK Constitution and Governance Act of 2010, enacted the Civil Service Code to further regulate their civil servants. I must state that if this bill is passed into law, it will in consequence repeal the Public Officers Act of 1962 at 114 and the Public Officers Holders Declaration of Assets and Disqualifications Act of 1998 at 550 and provide a desired legal framework to identify and manage conflict of interest scenarios pertaining to a public officer so as to have one global legislation for dealing with, among other things, matters contained in those legislations. I wish you fruitful deliberations and look forward to your valuable input in furtherance to the enactment process to achieve the passage of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
Live from the NATO here in Accra, as there is a stakeholders meeting currently going on there. Godfred Dame is Ghana's current Attorney General. Away from that, let's now talk about security. The Minister for Information, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, says Ghana has decided to beef up security across borders, specifically the north, and see because of the increasing spate of pirate and terrorism attacks from some West African countries. He hinted at this as one of the critical issues discussed at the 3-day President's Cabinet retreat at the Peduasi Lodge.
The overwhelming majority of the persons involved in these attacks, be they the piracy attacks or the terrorist attacks are West Africans. West Africans from among us. We are the same people who are doing it. So I think in instances where some interceptions were done on the sea, West African nationals, they are not from Europe or anywhere else. West African nationals, I may not single out the country, but I'm sure your research will show. In the terrorist activities in the northern part of West Africa, it's West African nationals. And I just mentioned to you that at least in one instance, a Ghanaian was involved. So it's not as though somebody is the one who is harming us. We are responsible for improving the security situation. And it requires an all of government, all of country, all of West Africa approach. Already the West African countries are doing a lot of intelligence sharing after the Accra Accord, which was the initiative of President Akufo-Addo. They are sharing a lot of intelligence so that they can alert you that we have succeeded in clearing this person from our country, but we are told he's now heading towards your country. And then you can also put your systems in readiness. And that is where, if you don't have the men, logistics, intelligence to respond, then you are caught flat-footed. So it is important that we do this.
And so the last time Ghana recorded pirate incidents was when we heard that 5 of men on the sea from Ghana had been kidnapped by pirates on our seas. You're still watching the news flash here on Metro TV. We are back from this break with more. Stay with us.
Obia pe says AC. Trese, it will gold-plated things. Yet the copper pipes pa pebi na ye. Gasia, emfa or how biam roda sanibia. Enegum. Enye dede. Tanso of 4-in-1 filter system. 80 from a free mubano. Eye kroje. AC, ye the horsepower neto. Hisense kase eye 2.5. Eye 2.5. Kululu pianim. Ye the abebiemo. Eye Hisense AC Super Promo. Date in year 26 July. Akobim 8 August 2021. Upe Asia Efe. Na eche. Na chili. Na nche power. Eye Hisense AC. Comfort to yemi. 26 July. Akobim 8 August. Madam Hisense. Matiti Suse. Who? 5 years warranty. Eda Sutia. Hisense and Kwane to me yes amount. Hisense. Everyday prices for everyday people.
Welcome back, and now on to a humanitarian story. Noble Impact Society has paid the medical bills of some needy patients at the Temale Teaching Hospital to undergo various forms of surgeries. Now, the NGO also provided tricycles for some disabled children in the northern region. Our northern regional correspondent Al-Hassan Ibaba brings you more, and it's read to you.
Noble Impact Society Foundation, a non-profit making organization, has donated over 18,000 Ghana cedis to some needy patients at the Children's Emergency Ward of the Tamale Teaching Hospital for surgeries to be performed on them. The beneficiaries of the amount included a boy suffering from cancer in the eye who needs over 8,000 Ghana cedis to go through an operation, and a girl who needs to undergo plastic surgery urgently. Tricycles were also provided for some disabled children. The group, after the donations, paid a courtesy call on the King of Dagbon, Yana Abukari II, to formally introduce Noble Impact Society Foundation to him. A citation was presented to the King for his efforts to keep Dagbon together and always trying to bring development to the good people of his kingdom. Prince Nchereba Asante is the founder of Noble Impact Society Foundation, and he has this to say.
We saw on TV, Sagani TV, some deformed children and some congenital children. So we followed up today, and we are here to offer our support to these children. One of them is a cancer patient, and one of them also needs to undergo plastic surgery. And two others also need tricycles. So we've donated 2 tricycles to the deformed children and 12,500 cedis for the congenital children for them to undergo a surgery or the needed health care.
He also thanked the media for always updating government and individuals on the need to help the needy in society, calling on the general public to keep donating to Noble Impact Society Foundation so they can continue their good works.
I'm grateful to the media for the good work that they are doing, and I urge them to go ahead with this kind of disability issue, because there are a lot of people that need help, but we've not reached them yet. So it's only the help of the media that will help us to get to these people. And we also urge the general public to continue donating to help Noble Impact to be doing this good work.
Idris Utanko, Deputy Director of Administration at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, was thankful to Noble Impact Society Foundation for their kind gesture, stating that the survival of cancer patients depends on how fast treatment is given to them.
Just briefly, the 2 children that they are helping today, one of them has cancer. He's the one that is just here in the predominantly yellow t-shirt. He has cancer of the eye. That's what we would call it as lay people. And cancer of any kind, especially for the children, actually requires early diagnosis and prompt treatment. If that doesn't happen, it progresses so fast that this child is very likely to lose the eye. And that is just maybe one part of it. He may end up even losing his life if intervention is not put in place early enough.
Al-Hassan Abukari, one of the parents of the beneficiaries, thanked Noble Impact Society Foundation for coming to the aid of his children.
Thank you to Noble Foundation there for the kind gesture. Let's now focus on stories from elsewhere, as Amnesty International has revealed that migrants held in Libyan detention camps are subject to horrific sexual violence at the hands of guards, including being forced to barter sex for clean water, food and access to sanitation.
The report, which focused on migrants intercepted in the Mediterranean and who disembarked in Libya in 2020 and 2021, suggests worsening conditions in the camps despite being recently placed under the control of the Libyan Interior Ministry. The findings came from interviews with 53 refugees and migrants aged between 14 and 50 from countries such as Nigeria, Somalia and Syria, mostly who were still in Libya, who had been able to flee camps or had access to telephones. Some pregnant women inside the camps told Amnesty they had been repeatedly raped by guards, while men said they were forced to wear only underwear in an attempt to humiliate them. Others, including boys, described being groped, prodded and violated.
For instance, in one center that's specifically designated for vulnerable groups, formerly detained women told Amnesty International that they had been that women at the center had been raped by guards. that they had been that they attempted to coerce them into sex in exchange for food or clean water, and that those who attempted to resist were severely beaten.
The inhuman treatment follows multiple reports since 2017 of beatings, torture, and a lack of sanitation and food. While data is unreliable, Amnesty said some 6,100 people were transferred to camps by the end of June.
So unlike last year when we saw thousands of individuals going unaccounted for in unofficial detention facilities, this year the vast majority of the over or around 15,000 that had been disembarked in the first 6 months of 2021 were taken to official detention centers directly upon disembarkation. But there is a very large disparity between the number of those that were taken to these centers and those that are registered as or have been counted as remaining in those centers. And the report highlights a number of ways that individuals may leave or be removed from detention, either by escaping, by paying ransoms for their release, by being transferred.
Quite a sad one there, and that's it for this Flash Live on Metro TV. I am Bright Nanakwasi Amanin. Have a good morning.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural eggs, mineral water.
You still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the prime aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.